Welcome back. We're glad we're back. You listen to us from TIBN. This is The Brew with Miss Nurse Patty, Miss Baby Doll, and Miss TJ.
And Jedi.
And our little mascot Jedi. He loves to be in the studio with us.
He does. Oh, baby.
We're going to be having some interesting topics tonight. We've been away for so long. If you looked at our post, we kind of had to drag Patty back. We had to fly her back here. And, she was out doing some recon work on where to find where all the good men are. So we'll get to that later on the broadcast.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
Pretty much.
My assignment. Yep. Took
The
me
girls,
about 8 weeks.
before we get started, we'd like to ask you to support the following groups. TUF, Truckers United for Freedom, Sovereign Roads with Ron Stinson, Truckers for Christ with Stephen Myers, Truckers Black with Blue, which is John, Truckers Final Mile, Robert Palm, Trucks with Room to Spare, Shelley Conway, and Rail Woman in Trucking, Desiree Wood. And Desiree Wood has been really busy, been an advocate for the last couple of weeks. We hope she's getting some rest because it's a lot of work being an advocate, trying to get out there, because you can never please everybody. Everybody always has their own thing going on. The first thing we're going to start tonight with is Man Mask dates already out. Wrap up. And as you know, and everybody knows, I hope, that when COVID started, all of the drivers that we know and all the drivers out there in this nation and drivers coming down from Canada and everywhere else didn't have masks. There was no PPE. There was nothing for them. And then this past July, they were giving PPE. Or was it? No, last July.
last year.
Last year, I mean, my God, I've lost a whole year. Really, we've all lost a year. Everybody has lost a year of our lives due to this pandemic, so to speak, pandemic. Because if you really want to know what a pandemic was, is over 10 million babies were aborted in America last year in 7 months. 10 million. People dying for COVID was 395,000. So I don't know where the pandemic is on witches, but that's a personal choice. We'll get to that another day. Anyways, it looks like the masks are going to make a comeback just in time for the fall fashion, ladies and gentlemen, so get those masks out. It's okay to joke about such a subject. I think it is anyways. Given for the CDC, as you all know, the Center for Disease Control, can't make up its mind from 1 hour to the next about the best way to protect people from COVID-19. Do you wear masks? Do you wear masks only indoors? Do you wear masks only indoors on Tuesdays from 3 to 9? Or do you wear your mask when you're going to bed? You have it on from 8 to 8 the next day. Are you wearing your mask when you go to the bathroom? I gotta tell you, I can't pee with a mask on. I just can't do it. I just can't do it.
Well, I can use the mask for toilet paper when
Well,
we
that's
run
true.
out again.
Yeah, that's right. If we run out of toilet paper, since we all know they're holding freight at all
The
all the
ports.
ports, they're holding the freight. So when you start running out of toilet paper, and the next thing you're gonna run out of, people in California, if I were you, I'd get the hell out of California, because I don't know about anybody else out there, all you drivers, if you're listening, or anybody else, bacon. California is gonna get rid of bacon.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what the hell you're gonna do with your eggs? What are you gonna have?
Right.
I know you're gonna have fried zucchini with your eggs, or spinach, which is pretty okay, but I mean, you gotta have bacon and eggs.
Yeah.
You gotta
Well,
have
they still got sausage.
you
Come
know,
on.
sausage is pork. You're not gonna get sausage.
I know. Well, they did say they was getting rid of the sausage.
Well,
I
pork is
know.
pork, okay?
That's right. Yeah.
Pork
So,
is pork.
Now we know that masks is coming out, and it's just it's kind of good, because if you've been watching TV or listening to the news, we now actually have commercials advertising masks.
Again.
You got the copper fit mask, you got the neck mask, you got this mask. So there's tons of masks. So the mask companies will be making some money again.
Yep.
So I guess somebody's going to be making some money. Well, you know, the CDC recently also said that the Delta variant makes it easier for vaccinated people to spread the virus. So why the hell what am I getting vaccinated for? I don't get it. I mean, if I get vaccinated, I can still spread it. If I don't get vaccinated, I can get it. Now, the survival rate is 97.8% people survive COVID with or without a vaccine. So
But this
why the hell
vaccine
do I
doesn't
want to put
cover
something
new
in my body?
strands either. It only covers the first strand.
Well, it's not going to cover all strands.
I know.
It's impossible. It's just when you get the flu shot, it's the luck of the draw.
Yeah.
And the last time I can remember something happened about everybody had to line up was with the swine flu in the 70s.
Yeah.
That made me sick as a dog. But do you remember we all stood in line for that?
That was a live virus vaccine too.
That made me
So
sick
that made a
as
lot
a
of people
dog.
sick.
Yeah.
My arms swelled up, my lips swelled.
Did you just say the swine flu from the 70s?
Yeah, swine flu in the 70s.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad. It was bad. But then again, I don't know. I know last year when I went in February, because I was really sick, I'm sure I had COVID. Of course, they said no, it had to be the SARS or H1N1 or whatever,
Right.
because there was no test at that time for COVID, but I was sick. So I feel bad for people that get it. I get that people have died from this. People die from the flu. People will die from pneumonia. People die every day from weird things. In my case, I'm a little more skeptical because when my mom passed, that's what they put down. I have a friend whose husband passed from a massive heart attack, and that was COVID.
Yeah.
COVID gave him a massive heart attack.
Yeah.
And I had
Couldn't
one.
it be the heart disease or the 3 heart attacks he had previously?
Right. Right. The
It had to be- it had to be
Or the
COVID.
stroke that my friend's mom had. The next day they said she died of COVID, but didn't have nothing to do with the stroke she had the night before.
No.
Yeah. Well,
So.
you know, you put price tag on something, including a diagnosis,
Mm-hmm.
and hospitals are going to go after it.
That's why all these doctors are saying possible COVID because they get
Well, I know up here it's $18,000 per patient that dies in the hospital.
They
The
get a
hospital gets
stipend for that.
$18,000. That should go to the families, not to the hospital.
right.
But that's my personal opinion, and I'm sure that we're gonna get some feedback on that.
James Toller's on here
Hey,
throwing a
James.
fit. Don't do it. Get rid of the mask.
Well, you know something?
We gotta stand against the government.
Sometimes I
Yeah.
have to say the mask does come in handy, because if I'm really getting pissed off at somebody in the store, I got my mask on, they don't know who I'm at.
right.
I'll put my hat on with the mask, kick somebody in the butt, and go, oh, I'm just an old lady. I don't know what I was doing. It's the COVID got me. The COVID, Cheryl. The
Blame it
COVID
on
got
COVID.
us. Hey, flying around looking for Miss Patty when she's out on the beach in Hawaii. Yeah,
Oh, I know. It was,
yeah, and here we are.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a good
But
thing.
hey, I got to go to Hawaii.
Again, you know, I had a job to do.
Okay.
Yeah, you know,
Well, yeah, I guess we could look for good men in Hawaii too.
yep.
Aloha.
Yes. Aloha.
Yeah, aloha.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I want to
Right.
talk about okay. Well, they also did another study on this. Vaccinated people can carry, like I said, as much virus as others.
Yeah.
Regardless, Democrats are marching ahead and even considering mandating vaccines for the entire country. And another despairing setback for the nation's efforts to stamp out the COVID. Scientists who studied a big COVID-19 outbreak in Massachusetts concluded that vaccinated people who got the so-called breakthrough infections carried about the same amount of the virus as those who did not get the shots. Now, that just kills me. That just kills me right there. Don't make something mandatory if it doesn't work.
Right?
Health officials on Friday released details on that research, which was the key in this week's decision by the CDC to recommend that vaccinated people return to wearing masks indoors in parts of the U.S. where the Delta variant is fueling infection surges.
Huh.
The author said that the findings suggested that the CDC mask guidance should be expanded to include the entire country, even outside of hotspots.
Huh.
The findings have the potential to upend past thinking about how the disease is spread. Previously, vaccinated people who get infected were thought to have low levels of virus and to be unlikely to pass it to others. But the new data shows this is not the case with the Delta variant. The outbreak in Provincetown, a seaside tourist spot in the Cape, as we know it up here as P-Town, with having the highest vaccination rates, have so far included more than 900 cases. About 3/4 of them were people who were fully vaccinated. So, let me think. If you have 100 people and 3/4 of that means 75 people were vaccinated and the other 25 weren't.
Right.
So let me think of what my odds would be.
Okay.
You ain't getting that shit.
Yeah.
Travis Degnes, who was among the many vaccinated people, said throwing caution to the wind and partying crowds for long nights over the July 4th holiday was a mistake in hindsight. Oh, spamming.
Oh,
The
God.
spamming. The dominant public messaging has been that the vaccine means a return to normal. The 35-year-old Boston said, unfortunately, I now learn it's a few steps towards normal, not the 0 to 60 that we seem to have undertaken. Diagnosed credits being vaccinated are easing the worst of the flu-like symptoms in a couple of days. He has recovered. But he might have recovered anyways in 2 or 3 days. There's a lot of people that are asymptomatic that just walk around, they're fine. Like many states, Massachusetts lifted all COVID restrictions in the late May ahead of the traditional Memorial Day. Started the summer, P-Town this week reinstated an indoor mask requirement for everyone. So, the White House on Friday defended its approach to rising virus cases and shifting public health guidelines, repeatedly deferred to the CDC while stressing the need for vaccinations. The most important takeaway, and actually pretty simple, we need more people to get vaccinated, the White House said. Pressed about the changing guidance, Jean Perry said, we don't make those types of decisions from here. People with breakthrough infections make up the increasing population of hospitalizations and in-house hospital deaths among COVID-19 patients, coinciding with the spread of the Delta, according to the leaked documents. Although experts generally agree with the CDC's reverse indoor mask stance, some said the reports on P-Town outbreak does not prove that vaccinated people are a significant source of new infections. Well, I don't know what would be if you have 100 people and 75 of them were vaccinated.
And they got sick. I know,
Yeah, I wonder where this uptick is coming from. Let me think. Something about, I don't know, the Texas and Arizona border and,
I know, it wouldn't have anything with all the immigrants that
Oh,
got
no,
let in our
of course
country.
not. That's
Soon
just
as
not
Biden
a
took
word.
office,
Now,
not a
girls,
word
that's wrong.
has been said about that, yeah.
They've said that those immigrants, Texas governor has said, the immigrants are all testing positive for COVID. So let's do this. Let's put them on a bus or a plane.
Yeah.
And let's send them to different parts of this country.
Yes, like
Yes.
Portsmouth. Let's send the cargo planes into Portsmouth. I wonder what was on those multiple plane deliveries 2 weeks ago. So, 2 weeks, we should be seeing a spike locally.
Well, of course, it's almost time for us to go back to school.
That's right.
I know, and now they're talking about, well, the kids have gotta wear masks
That's
again.
right.
And the state of Alabama supposedly is the #1 spike in America right now. So the whole state has went back to masks,
Of course.
is what I'm hearing. And, their spike is 18.9% rate in the last 3 weeks.
Well, I don't know.
I don't, yeah.
I don't know. I'm
I
tired
don't
of it.
know. I think
It's too much because there's other things that are happening. I think that's going to get worse, and it's going to get worse for our drivers.
Yeah.
Because
It is.
what
Yeah.
is going on with this is something that's kind of alarming. Well, first of all, what's kind of alarming is everybody has noticed the only thing they keep talking about is mask. Get vaccinated, and mask. They're certainly not talking about the border and our poor American citizens at the border who are suffering more than the immigrants because our our farmers down there, they're finding their cattle slaughtered, their pigs are being slaughtered, the chickens are being stolen,
Yep.
they're
Oh,
being
wow.
they're being
yeah.
shot at, but that's not going to get reported because that does not fit the narrative.
That's right.
Oh, well, they're getting rid of the meat.
Well, in California, they have set these new pork regulations that it's going to be very expensive to have bacon and sausage because, we don't want meat. We need to consume less meat, people. We need to, the new green deals. It's surprising.
Shit, why don't we just all go to the Leviticus diet? There was no meat in that.
Right.
That's the beginning diet. It's just kidding. God said I can have meat, then I'm going to give me some meat.
They haven't had meat since the beginning of frickin' time. Since man has walked this earth, they had some type of protein, whether they hunted for protein.
Yeah.
Okay?
Sheep, right.
Well,
And they
hey,
have
wait a minute.
Fish.
cattle.
Did
and
anybody
pigs.
hear those? You saw Fred Flintstone having those dinosaur ribs on his cross.
Yes.
We got them at the petrol truck stop too.
Right.
Them big chicken bones or whatever they are.
Come on. Those saber-tooth tigers were absolutely delicious. You can suck on those teeth for hours.
Right? Harley and Jaybird used to love them big old planes.
I mean, come on. They've had meat since man walked this earth. There's some form of meat. This is just crazy because it fits the narrative. They want to cut down they want 70% of the population to expire. Oh, let me think. 70% of the population to expire, and then 70% need to get their shots.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
How about that?
How does that work?
I don't know.
Does anybody know how that works?
I don't know.
Does anybody out there can tell us how that works? Because I'd like to know.
Yeah, sounds like a numbers game.
Jaybird says there's a lot of echoing. He hears us say we're echoing. Might be me, but you might back off the mic a bit. Y'all are having a lot of echoes.
I just did a sound check on it.
Oh.
Okay. Alright, just
It's the room,
Well,
to be honest. I need to
hope-
get some buffer for the room.
I hope this is to drivers, and if you know any drivers that are driving tonight or anywhere for the next, please put some hand sanitizer in your truck. Not because I'm worried about COVID. Unfortunately, what's not being told you right now, there's an actually deadly fungus that's spreading across the USA. Excuse me, this is from Mike Strong. He is author of the CDC report. Dr. Megan Lennon says this is a result of the first time we start seeing clusters. Hold on, can you bring up the pages right here? Oh, sorry, guys, I'm sorry. A new outbreak of a fungus that attacks people with weakened immune systems that have spread in 2 states within the United States. The fungus, Candida auris, is a recently discovered drug-resistant superbug that has been found in hospitals and care facilities in Dallas, Texas, and Washington, D.C. so far. Candida auris colonizes itself on the skin of humans from surfaces, direct contact, or recently revealed with human-to-human transmission, further leading to potential invasive bloodstream infections. The CDC released a report last week on updates of the cases in both states, saying that the overall combined mortality rate was around 30%, which is kind of high for that type of fungus. The clusters of infection within both states are said to be unrelated to one another so far, with the outbreaks happening in a long-term care facility in D.C. and a hospital in Dallas. From January to April of this year, 101 cases of this fungus was found in D.C. during the same period of time. 22 cases have been now found in Dallas. The CDC did not release information on which facilities were that have experienced this outbreaks. One of the 101 cases in D.C., 3 were found to be resistant to all forms of antifungal medication, in which there are generally 3 major classes of medications for treatment. These cases were isolated for further study. In Dallas, the same was found in several cases, with 2 cases being resistant to all 3 medications, and another 5 cases being resistant to 2 of the medication classes. This resistance itself has never ever been seen before from fungal infections within the United States. Author of the CDC report, Dr. Megan Lynn, said this is really the first time we started seeing clusters of resistance. They also have never seen before patients getting infections from other patients in close contact. Candida auris was first seen in humans in 2013, with a report warning of its hazardous potential being released back in 2019. Hundreds of cases have been reported since this time, but this year is the first time we've seen such an outbreak occur here in the United States, where there is a resistance to all medication as well as human-to-human transmission. Back in 2013, when the fungus was discovered in the U.S. for the first time, Dr. Lynn Sosa's kinetic deputy state immunologist at the time, she thinks Candida auris is pretty much unbeatable and difficult to identify. So I would say, if you're driving, use your hand sanitizer. And human-to-human
Keep your truck
contact.
clean, yeah, keep
Think
your truck
about-
wiped down
and
and
if you
stuff.
can-
Human-to-human contact. So I hate to say that's going to be part of our little talk later.
Can we get a vaccine for this?
Nope, not yet. And we're not. And are we going to get locked down? Because we might get these weird. She's scratching her fingers. We hope you don't get nothing.
Y'all were scaring me, I'm just saying. God, another creature.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know,
Lord.
it's terrible. It is absolutely terrible. Why are we getting these things coming into our country? Let me think.
Yeah,
What's
What did
coming
we
into
just
our
talk about?
country
Yeah.
on a daily basis,
Yep.
and has for quite a while, people that are undocumented, untested for any types of illnesses,
Yeah.
no
Illegal.
shots. But funny, if I went to Europe, I'm required to have this, that, and everything else. And why is it that when we have our military, before they're shipped to another country, they have to go, they have so many shots.
Yeah.
They just load them up, both arms,
right.
put your
Yeah.
arms up, we're gonna load you all up.
Yeah, and I was told that each time they go to a different assignment or they get a whole nother new round of shots. So they're always getting vaccines and stuff all the time to go to these different places.
I don't know. I don't know. I really believe it in my whole heart that we need to start over. We need to get rid of everybody that's in the Senate and everybody that's in the House and start the hell over. And I also believe instead of paying these huge salaries to these people, it needs to go back the way it was. When you were in Washington, you got paid. You got paid. That was it. You didn't get a salary, and you didn't get a salary for life. Your family didn't get free medical. Your kids didn't get free college tuition. You served your country. That's how it should be. We shouldn't be paying these enormous fees and having our senators, like, how, when you make $200,000 a year, how do you within 2 years become a multi-millionaire?
Oh.
You know the answer to that?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, so it's, people need to start thinking, people need to start waking up. Do next year, this country will be 250 years old. That will be our big anniversary for this country. We became 250 years. Right?
76.
Yes, it's 250 next year.
76 to 2022.
That isn't.
I thought it was, mine came up as our anniversary for 250 years is coming up. And you know what makes me kinda mad is I had watched this thing on the radio, on my feed, and I was listening to these college kids stand up and say, I hate America. I hate America. And that American flag is so racist. It's full of hate and it's terrible, and I'm thinking to myself, this kid's gonna be quite the asshole. Is that right? Is it next year, 250?
From 1776, if you're talking about the Declaration of Independence, then it would be 246 years.
Oh, okay.
We're close.
It's getting close.
will we
Okay, but
see it?
anyways, I'm listening to these college students, I'm thinking, you know, you hate America? I think we should put these kids, let's put them on a little plane,
Yeah.
and let's take them over to North Korea
Yeah.
or China.
Yes.
Have these kids did they not see what happened in
Yes.
Tiananmen Square a few years ago when all
No.
those college students protested?
No. Right. That was before.
They wanted to be out of communism, they wanted to have a democratic,
Yep.
they ran them over with freaking tanks.
Yes, they did.
Where was it they caned that kid? Everybody was so upset because they were gonna cane that kid.
Yeah,
And they tried to stop it. It's like, stop it. He's in a foreign country with a foreign government. They're gonna do as they damn well please, and they did. They caned his ass.
they caned that kid.
Oh, the cane. What country was
Is
that?
that Korea?
Well, it doesn't even matter, it's that these
Right.
college students, they're so
Yeah.
freaking entitled. You're in college.
Yeah.
Whether you're working your way through, most kids that are working their way through college do not have time to sit around and
Right.
get political
Right.
because they're working their ass off between studying and getting their grades and working because they know they're there by the luck of God.
Mm.
Okay,
I-
but some of these elitist kids that are there, you know, these kids from
Yes.
Yale and Princeton, really,
No.
you guys cut it out.
Well, I think we need to bring back the movie Midnight Express and let them watch that.
Oh yeah, that would
Yeah,
be good.
that's about oh God, what was that? Turkey?
Germany, wasn't it? When they were trying to defect. Was it-
Midnight
no.
Express was the one. Were they in Marrakesh?
Uh-oh, shit.
What country were they in?
I don't remember, but I
Oh my
remember
God,
it was
I
a
can't-
communist country, a communist control, and they were trying
Yes,
to defect.
well,
I thought it was
yes.
Germany because they were trying to get across the wall.
Right.
So they were building the balloon, the hot air balloon.
Okay, no, not this movie. I
Different
don't know
one?
the name of that one.
And it just kills me because I'm like, somebody is feeding these
Well,
children.
of course they are.
This stuff.
We have these people that have doctorates that have decided,
Yep.
well, I have a doctorate, so I'm so much smarter, and I have this, and I have that, and this and that, and so I'm gonna tell everybody what they should be doing.
That's right.
You know, I'm thinking to myself, you've never experienced the world. I have somebody who's working on a doctorate, and he's kinda telling me this, and yeah, people are systematically racism, and I feel like saying, you're so full of shit. Did you ever go somewhere, did you
Please.
ever go and live in a community that was so damn poor?
Right.
This is white bread New Hampshire, I'm sorry, we do not have those communities. You know,
No.
I taught in a community in Florida that we spent half the day sitting on the floor because of the gunshots.
Yeah.
Quick, code red, everybody laid out on the floor. Quick, get on the floor because of the drug deals were so bad. These kids knew nothing about, you know, okay, I'm gonna walk down the street when it's dark. Now, these kids didn't walk down the street when it was dark. They stayed in their house because they were too afraid of getting shot.
Right?
You know, they'd get stuff from school, and he's afraid of the fireworks. He,
It's okay.
so I don't know what these kids, oh, George Washington was a racist because he had slaves. If you actually studied history in your history class, yes, he was giving them, he set all his slaves free. They all had the choice to either stay with him, or they could move anywhere else they wanted to. Some stayed and worked, and some left.
Oh,
John
the smuggling hash movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was Turkey,
Turkey, that's what
John,
I thought.
how
yeah.
did I?
1978.
Where is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, by the way, it was Singapore was the kid got caned.
Singapore was
that's
the
right, yes.
So if these kids actually went to another country that would show them what's what, You don't say anything against your country. Oh, and that new girl who just won that gold in gymnastics,
Yeah.
she didn't win it for her country. She said, I didn't win it for my country. I won it for me. Well, you selfish little brat.
Yeah.
How about paying back
That's
all
right.
the money that we have spent on you to go to
Right.
Tokyo and for your training? Give that money back, because if it's not for your country, then you shouldn't have taken a dime.
That's right.
Right?
I don't even watch football anymore. I don't watch basketball. I don't watch baseball.
No.
You know, I think all that's a bunch of crap.
Well, and that just goes to show you the change in generations.
Yeah.
And this is the past couple of generations are very me. It's all about me.
Me, myself, and
Me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have no sense of civic duty. They have
No.
no sense of the big picture. Just their own little self.
But can you imagine? And that hammer thrower, when she put that shirt on, really? I think she should have been disqualified. I think she should have been. She did something before, and they gave her a warning. She did it again. She should not be allowed to participate at all.
She should have had to get her ticket back. She should have been expelled from the Olympics
Yeah.
and have to get herself out of the country and wherever she wanted
Well,
to
that's
go.
what they do to us truck drivers. They dismiss us, bitch, you on your own.
Yeah,
You know?
there you
Park
go.
the truck, pack your stuff, and find your way home.
Yeah, you
Right.
can't pack your stuff, you gotta leave it. You better just take what you can in your bag. That's about all you getting.
James said he still watches football because no one on his team has taken the knee.
Well,
So,
my
you know, someone said
Alabama
that-
ain't took it either,
Someone
so.
said that to me one time, and I said, well, he's kneeling down. I said, well, maybe he's praying that he's not going to lose. I didn't dare tell the kid why he was doing it, but I said, maybe they're just praying.
Yeah.
Because the only time you take a knee is before God,
That's right.
or if you have a king or queen, and that's
Right.
your sovereigns, but we don't have that here. Oh yeah, but I think we do now. Don't we have a duke and a duchess now? I think America has,
Yes, that we have acquired one, that's
yeah,
right.
we have acquired them. Well, you know, as far as I'm concerned, I think someone
Yeah.
ought to tell them that we don't have dukes and duchesses.
No.
That's where we want our freedom from that shit.
Yep,
Well,
Where's that? Oh, there it is. Yeah. So
yeah, quite some time ago, so lose the title.
lose the titles or go home. I don't could care less. Go home.
Right.
Well, now this was another interesting little story that I thought this was kind of funny. The well-paid Democrats want more to vacay while disappointing their voters. I am so glad that I'm not a voter in Texas right now, because I would be up in arms about this. Some members of the Democrat Party really don't know how to pretend as they're like the average Americans that vote for them. The Texas Democrats that fled the state to hide in D.C. are proving that they have lost all grip on reality. They're treating their time in D.C. like a vacation.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they're pissing off all their voters and asking the voters to pay for their vacay.
Yeah.
Let's face it, the Texas Democrats are not doing their job. They're the perfect example of spoiled liberals, and they're setting a bad example for their entire party. They want to call themselves brave. They think that they're making some epic sacrifice, and if you know any of them, if you follow any of them on Twitter, they're actually trying to make you feel sorry for them. After all, they're living in hotel rooms and having to wash out their laundry in the bathroom sinks.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord!
Wow.
Can you just imagine?
no.
People living in hotels. I'd like to see a lot of drivers being able to get a good night's sleep in a hotel, but that doesn't happen too often.
I'd also like to be able to get up and leave my job,
Yeah,
just get up and leave
yeah,
and not go back
yeah.
and still be employed and get a paycheck.
And get a paycheck.
Oh,
Because,
yeah.
how's that happen? So how is it that they haven't been terminated
Well,
for
that's
failing to do
exactly.
I mean, I know the
Well,
answer.
They insulted their Republican colleagues, and they've angered their voters. Oh, and let's not forget that they brought this COVID with them to D.C. That was really cute. These Democrats are still getting paid.
That was-
Texas taxpayers have to keep paying for them, even though they're not getting anything done. What's worse is that above and beyond their very generous legislative salaries, they're also being paid an extra $221 a day for their special session,
Yeah.
even though they're not showing up. The vacation in D.C. has involved chartering a bus and a plane. They're having Zoom meetings in luxury hotels, and they're getting pissy because President Biden won't meet with them. Wow, life is so rough for these guys.
Oh.
Well, the ridiculousness continues. Beto O'Rourke is so excited the Dems are taking a stand that he's paying them more money to stay away until August 6th. a rock group powered by people have given them $600,000. This will help them to pay for food and hotel rooms for a few more weeks. Wow.
For a few weeks?
For a few weeks, yeah.
Oh
no
my
shit.
God.
Oh, but that's not even all of it. The Democrats want to raise $1.5 million for their little political stunt. They actually expect Democrat voters to hand them money for leaving the state of Texas rather than doing their job.
Right.
Guess what? There are going to be times when you have to do your job even though it sucks. You just can't run away from it and make bank by doing so. These Democrats are forgetting about the fact that the average American can't do what they're doing. They're setting a bad example, and they expect taxpayers to foot the bill and donate even more so they can do it. The Dallas Democrats' Twitter account also tweeted out that they had a message to share. The Dems in D.C. said, "We appreciate care packages from home." You gotta be frickin' kidding me. First of all, they haven't been in long enough to need any care. Second of all, they're out of state on their own accord. If they miss Dr. Pepper, salsa, and all things so much, all they have to do is pack up your crap and go home and do your job.
That's right.
Well, they didn't give a shit about the servicemen in the fucking garages
That's
down in
right.
D.C. with one porta potty. You didn't give a fuck about them.
Nope.
Why would we give a fuck about you?
That's right.
Well, I mean,
Sorry,
these Democrats
I'm sorry. I
said that
didn't
they're
bang the
also
table.
collecting, they're also collecting travel toiletries, hairspray, hand sanitizers, first aid, and more to send up to the Democrats. If you're doing this, and if you're from Texas, and you're anyone that's doing this, slap them upside the frickin' head.
Yeah.
Are you so stupid that you don't know that you're paying for this already?
Chad, you need to become governor of that state quick.
That's right.
If I was Texas, I'd be voting for Chad.
Well, if the political left is to be believed, race is involved in everything we do, say, and feel. It has taken on every single American policy. Oh, no, I'm sorry. But anyways, I don't know. This is terrible. These Dems want to play cards as if they're martyrs. Most people aren't buying it. After all, it's hard to beg for care packages when everyone else saw the photos of them on a private plane with all their little beer bottles and everything else.
And no masks.
And getting this, no mask, no nothing else. But if we did that, we'd be fined or whatever would be happening to us. But can you imagine? I can't even believe that these Democrats would be asking for money. Now, they met with Harris, and Harris had to go to on a Sunday morning, quickly had to go for something. And you and I, Patty, I know, I've worked in hospitals. Patty was a nurse for 40 years, right? About 40 years?
46.
46 years. How many get a physical on a Sunday? Let me think. I've never known a hospital. It's so short-staffed on a weekend, you don't go and get a physical. You go because there's something wrong with you. Well, I'm sorry, that's right, I'm thinking Harris. Yeah, there is something wrong. Yeah.
She got cooties.
Yeah.
She is the foodie.
I know, right?
The other thing I wanted to talk about tonight is that, if we have drivers out there listening, how many times have they said, "Oh, let's go to D.C. Let's do this. Let's have a strike. Let's do this." Well, you know, you guys, I really wish you guys would stand up for something. I mean, they're not that some of them aren't. I got to rephrase that because there's a lot of men out there that are trying really hard and they're doing things. But you know, when you have all your trucks parked, and was it this past May you did a May Day over in Indiana? I felt kind of bad about that because I knew a lot of drivers weren't going to do that because honestly, no offense, it's Indiana. I mean, you had a chance to go to Washington. If they would have had May Day in Washington when all the fences were up and the National Guard is there, and if we put 20, 30, 50, 100 trucks there, guess what? We would have got some intention. But while we were there, a lot of drivers are vets, right? I would say there's a lot of drivers that are vets. There's a lot of women drivers that are vets, okay? There's a lot of us American citizens who are concerned about this one thing. I don't think people know about this, but Republican lawmakers have been barred from entering the D.C. jail to visit the January 6th political prisoners.
I had a
Now,
feeling you was going there.
if we go to other countries, we demand to see political prisoners. We demand this. And here we are in the United States of America, and these guys are still in jail.
Still,
A group of Republican lawmakers on last Thursday on July 29th, this was Deborah Haynes had wrote this, was locked out of the Washington, D.C. prison where the January 6th political prisoners are being held and accused of trespassing. My colleagues and I were locked out of the deplorable treaty, Marjorie Greene, the Republican from Georgia. After they were initially allowed to only enter the entranceway and given masks, an officer told the House Republicans that they were trespassing and locked them out. I have never heard of such a thing in all these years. I mean, really,
No.
of being locked out, of being able to visit a prisoner in United States of America. They get to see them in Guantanamo. They get visitors
Right.
there. And we won't allow this in DC. This is an outrage. Everybody out there should be outraged by this.
Yeah. but we're gonna sit right here
My
and
gosh,
do absolutely
Yeah.
fucking nothing.
Gorman, a former judge, said, my gosh, the government is finally upside down.
Mm.
Every day in America, people are locked in prison. It's not every day people are locked out of prison, but that is what's happening to multiple members of Congress today. Representative Matt Gaetz, the Republican from Florida, said during a news conference outside the U.S. Capitol. Representative Gaetz, Bob Goodwin, Paul Gossier, Louis Gohmert, they're all Republicans, one from Virginia, Texas, Arizona, attempted to tour the facility to see how the detainees are being treated because of the stories that are being told. Gaetz said his remarks that they were just denied the ability to carry out their two principal responsibility as congressmen to appropriate funds and to conduct oversight. How does the Biden administration expect us to participate in the representative republic when they deprive us access to information? They would inform our oversight work and our appropriate decisions. The same group of conservative lawmakers, Andy Briggs from Arizona, were barred from entering the Department of Justice on Tuesday, while leftists attempt to disrupt this press conference. The lawmakers held a presser outside the DOJ to condemn the harsh treatments of the January 6th political prisoners and demand answers from Attorney General Merrick Garland on a number of issues regarding their cases. A key issue the congressman said they wanted to resolve is whether DOJ prosecutors are hiding explanatory evidence by withholding from the defense 14,000 hours of video that no one's allowed to see. To get that evidence, we sought a meeting with the Attorney General, we went to the Department of Justice, and we weren't even allowed in the lobby to have a meeting with an Attorney General who still to this day has not shown up for an oversight hearing before the Oversight Committee of the House Judiciary Committee. What is Merrick Garland actually hiding? Gaetz said they were all concerned about how the detainees are being treated, which is why they showed up in D.C. jail for the tour of the facility, which he said has been done under both Democratic and Republican administrations. But now, there is an unprecedented effort to deny members of Congress information that relates to criminal cases and that relates to the treatment of people that are being held. I think this is an absolutely deplorable in the United States of America, when our own senators and representatives are not allowed to tour something, and now Nancy Pelosi, in all her godness, because she thinks she is God, she thinks she is queen of our country, has decided to do her own commission to look this up, and nobody is allowed to see any evidence but that small committee that she has.
So you're also saying that they're not even allowed to see or visit the prisoners that they have in custody that was with this raid, right? So nobody's allowed to see these prisoners.
They were not permitted. Lawyers have been locked up from seeing these
Yep.
prisoners, from my understanding. In fact, one of them lawyers was walking in behind these guys, and when they locked the doors on the representative, they also locked the door on him and wouldn't let him in to see his client.
Nope.
Huh.
I'm falling apart over
So
here.
do you think they're, I mean, clearly they're hiding something. Do you think that they're beating these prisoners?
Of course they are.
That
There's already
was-
been
think they're
reported.
That was an accusation that was made that some of these prisoners have been beaten or abused, they're bruised, some of them have black eyes. They're being deprived
Of food and water.
basic
Basic
necessities, or
necessities,
they're in isolation for 23 hours a day
If
or more.
they were a part of this riot
Yeah, well, or accused.
or
Or
accused.
They haven't even been,
They
found
haven't-
guilty by a
And
jury
this
on
was
the
this.
same
January 6th. 6, y'all. This is almost 8
And some of
fucking
the
miles.
people that,
Oh.
some of the people that were there that walked into the building, because as everybody saw, police actually opened the gates, so normal people thought it was okay to go in because the gates opened and they opened the doors. They had no clue, but yet they had to plead guilty to a misdemeanor for trespassing. First of all, that building belongs to the people. It does not belong to the senators or the representatives or Nancy Pelosi. It belongs to the people of United States. It's our building. And they forget that. They forget that those buildings in Washington belong to all the people. And then the people that are pulling down statues, I think they should be arrested because those statues belong to the people. And if they want to take them down, it should go out to a vote for that community or that city or
Or
town,
that
whatever.
town, or, yeah,
Not just say, well, that's racist. Oh, I'm sorry, because we're white, we're racist. They all
That's
take a
right.
big, I won't say it.
All right.
They all, but my next thing was, I won't get past that. This has to do with the U.S. Department of Transportation.
Oh, God,
You
here
know?
we go.
DOT issues regulations for the primary purpose of ensuring that the United States transportation system is the safest and most efficient in the world. In designing these regulations, the department seeks to address the urgent challenges facing the nation. Urgent. These challenges include the coronavirus disease of 2019, that pandemic, economic recovery. Okay, I don't think they really should have a choice in that. This one pisses me off. Racial justice and climate change.
What the fuck's all this got to do with transportation?
Jason,
right.
nothing.
What, nothing?
That's
Well,
right.
first of all,
What the fuck?
because I don't know. I don't know. I'm still
That's right.
trying to get my head wrapped around how is the DOJ
Yeah.
going to solve racial justice? What the hell is going on with this racial justice shit? I know. Oh, well, you don't know what it's like. Oh, bullshit. Pull your pants up, grow up, move on.
But once again, what has any of that got to do with transportation? Nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely
Nothing.
nothing.
They can't do anything about climate change. Oh, yes, they can. They're going to mandate autonomous vehicles that are going to be powered by whatever.
Yep.
Electric vehicles.
Well, they got to go with the green initiative, they're still on that, and, it's like that, video, the guy says, well, my Tesla ran out of gas, and the guy says, what do you mean your Tesla ran out of gas? He says, well, it needs gas, and he's got a gallon of gas with him. And he says, well, how you gonna put gas in a Tesla? So he opens up the trunk, and what's he got in the back of the trunk? It's a small generator motor. It's a Honda. And the guy looks at him and goes, you got a generator back there. It's a Honda. Why didn't you just buy a Honda? It would have been better.
Well, and I think with the DOJ, I think our, what do we call him? The cadaver president.
Chris likes to call him the Manchurian cadaver.
Okay.
Oh, Manchurian cadaver. Okay.
Yeah. Remember, everybody, he drove a 16-wheeler.
No,
That's why
18 wheeler.
That's why when he
18
gave his
wheels,
little
yeah.
speech,
Yeah.
16 wheels, he said. And then someone said something. He says, oh yeah, I had 18 wheels. But what cracked me up is he walked by and he said, what kind of pickup trucks are these? 2 Mack trucks? Yeah, okay.
Many claims
Okay,
to have
Joe.
drove
Okay,
a
Joe.
18-wheeler.
Joe,
yeah.
we'll give you a pass. And that's another,
Oh.
see, I'm pissed off good, because that's another thing. I had told people when he was running that he's incompetent. I watched my father go through Alzheimer's. I watched the beginning stages, and he had the same exact. I've watched a lot of people, and I'm sure you have too, Patty, go through the beginning stages of Alzheimer's, and he fit the bill. Shame on his wife, shame on his family, and shame on the American people that put him in office, because look at that poor man. I mean, he is a bumbling fool.
He's the
and he
land of the
can't-
walking dead.
he
He
is-
really is.
Yes,
What
and
you're
it's
getting
terrible.
at is he's being exploited.
And he's being
Absolutely.
exploited,
Oh,
and to me, it's an absolute shame.
It's a crime. If
Well,
I did that,
yes.
if I did that to my great aunt in
Or
a
my
nursing
father, I
home,
could've did it to
and
my
if
father.
if I went out and exploited her like that, I would be reported to the
Pelosi
Department of Elder Abuse,
exploit
and
anybody.
I would be
Yes.
fined, jailed. I mean, any number of things.
But Pelosi and the two biggest, excuse me, I'm gonna say it, the two biggest cunts in America are running this, and he's
Yeah.
the puppet.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's harsh words.
That is harsh
Yeah.
words, but don't get me.
Well, Pelosi is 81, and that's about the IQ of Camel Girl. So, you know,
Camel girl.
kind of a Camel Girl.
Camel toe Harris?
Yeah.
You know, I think it's terrible they put her on Vogue. We had a beautiful woman as a vice president, and she had a lot of class.
Oh yeah.
She really did, and
Yes.
they did not one time ever report on all the good that she did. She had them put more money into autism research. She did so much for kids.
Yeah.
She did a lot of every day. That woman worked her butt off, and the media wouldn't
Yeah.
give her the time of
No.
day.
They were-
Jill dresses like
Right.
she's from the 1980s, walking down the street. I'm gonna jog down the street.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Come
Job
on.
you mean she dressed like a street boss?
Hell, I wasn't gonna put it that way.
A
I
lot
just put it-
lizard, Jill the lot lizard.
Yeah.
But now I have something that's gonna throw Cheryl out.
Oh Lord.
Oh, here we go.
She's been teasing me all day.
Oh.
I gotta tell you guys.
She told me not to pound the table, so
Okay.
let me
This
put my
is
hands
from the
behind my
Tea
back.
Party Daily. I have to tell you. You guys ready?
Yeah.
They have come out to say, the political left, the nature is racist too.
Oh,
What?
sweet Jesus.
Nature?
Those goddamn maple trees.
Let me tell you. If the political
Or
It's
the
left,
always the
squirrels,
maples,
if
it's always the maples.
if
Damn
the political left is to believe, race is involved in everything we do, say, and feel. It has taken over every single American
Oh my
police, causing massive discrimination, is what drives the rising number of those in black communities without a high school degree, and it also prohibits black Americans from enjoying the great outdoors.
God.
As I said, that's what they want you to believe. This is what they want you to believe, okay? And to push the idea on through, Outdoor Magazine has sided with leftist ideology to publish a piece blaming nature, of all things, for the lack of blacks in the outdoors.
What?
Wait a minute.
You're
Is this a
freaking
sarcasm piece? or
No,
is
this is it's an outdoor magazine. According to the outlet, this is supposedly a nature gap in America. The term refers to the supposed unequal access to nature found in our country. As the article says, we say the outdoors are for everyone. But look around. The nature gap is real, intentional, and yet another form of racial inequality. They make it sound like there are signs posted at national forest entrances banning certain ethnic groups or roadblocks set up by police in rural areas. Reality couldn't be farther from the truth, people. Now, to be clear, there was a time in America where such things could be done legally. At the end of the Civil War, when Jim Crow and lynch mobs ran the South, blacks were basically instructed to stay at home and in their segregated communities for the sake of their own safety. It was wise to travel outside after dark, straying from the streets where they were born and raised was ill-advised. And heading out into the woods was just asking for trouble. However, as you know, times have really changed. Lynching is considered murder now. Segregation was outlawed in 1964, and governmental redlining was made illegal in 1968. Suffice it to say, nothing prohibits black families from taking trips to the park, going skiing, hiking through the mountains, or hunting and fishing. And yet, according to Outdoors magazine, the world of nature is still pretty much off limits to blacks. Why? Well, they of course pull out a list of the usual suspects, including those I listed above as now being illegal. As the author says, like many outdoor spaces, safety and access in the mountains are still new. I'm trying hard not to laugh. Like many outdoor spaces, safety and access in the mountains are still new to black Americans. When I moved to Colorado, people advised me to be careful. And they weren't talking about animal encounters or other trail hazards, which I'm sure they were. Because if you're in the Colorado mountains, if you don't know the woods, be careful. You know, when I was growing up and I would go to Maine, my uncle would say, be careful. Don't go in the woods. They're very thick. Be really careful where you guys take a hike to. Okay? Hey, must be 'cause I had blonde hair, blue eyes, and I'm actually of, Syrian descent and Irish descent, those damn drunks.
Yeah.
And those towel heads, and my
Yeah.
grandmother was a prayer nigger. So,
Well, there
I
you
mean,
go.
maybe that's why he told me to be careful,
Yeah.
not to go in the woods. I
Yeah.
think that's what it was, John.
I
I think I was being,
I gotta
think
tell
were
you
being
guys-
racially
I
profiled.
was.
I gotta tell you guys, I blame Hollywood for this. It's
Yeah, I
all
do too.
Hollywood's fault. The reason why? Because the black guy got killed in all the Jason movies. First person to get killed in all the horror movies out in the woods was the black
Black
guy.
guy, I know.
Okay?
Jesus. Oh, my
Oh, Lord.
Okay. So as
Y'all
it
killing me.
goes, so, I'm sorry, but I find this all really hard to believe. Someone actually told this individual that the outdoors is a scary place for blacks. Statistics alone said otherwise. Black Americans are far more likely to be killed by other black Americans than any other demographic, including supposedly systematic racist police. And if we're talking about the financial means needed to go to the outdoors, paying park fees, buying a hunting license, taking trips with the family, it's not racism that hinders
That's
black
bullshit.
Americans.
But they got plenty of guns in Chicago.
It is proven that the fewer black Americans graduate from high school are therefore able to enter the workforce to reasonably make ends meet. Black communities also have a higher percentage of those not working, period, as well as having children out of wealth in need of welfare assistance. Outdoors would love to blame the nature gap on the premise that the whites are the problem. But in reality, the political left, who has limited their access to such things, instead of taking the initiative to graduate, to put themselves through college, to show up to work, to be responsible adults, whether you're white or black, it doesn't matter. Leftists have convinced of them that they are forever victims and therefore shouldn't even try to bring themselves up. The left would love to keep them bound up, believing that everything is about race and that they will be discriminated against at every turn. But in reality, no one is counting that number of black Americans on a hiking trail more than the leftist ideology. You want to close the nature gap? Then we need to stop listening to such racist and insulting ideas. We need to stop funding the emotional and financial needs of celebrities with nothing better to do than to stir up trouble. And we need to stop electing public officials who only seem to want more division. Contrary to what Outdoor Magazine is saying, America is not inherently racist, and neither is the average American. It is high time we start entertaining those who say it is. And that is the truth.
So what it amounts to is people want to get on the bandwagon to sell whatever it is they're selling. They're selling their bullshit.
It's all
Hey,
it is.
Aaron, good to see you.
It is.
I'm telling you, they're on the Acela train straight to the
This is just all
government
crazy.
of
We only
Cuba
have a-
and Mexico.
Yeah.
I mean, the corruption is rampant.
Yeah.
We only got a few
There's your
minutes.
epidemic. There's your pandemic right there. Corruption.
We only have a few minutes, and this, I hope everybody feels really bad. Everybody out in the trucking world and everybody out in the world that you're not in trucking, and this really actually affects you too. Really, because this is kind of sad. I feel a lot of sympathy for this person. He kind of makes we wouldn't even get to our men.
No.
No, we didn't.
Damn it, we can do that real quick.
Well, we can do it next week.
Yeah, I guess we could tell you where the good men are. Give us another week to find out where they're at. But anyways,
Right.
Biden's secretary, Buttigieg. Buttigieg. I don't know how to say his name.
Buddha judge?
The butt man. The butt man.
Yeah.
The butt.
Yeah.
How do you
Yeah.
be gay with a name like that?
It's a fucking,
Anyways, yeah.
You know, I could add to that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I won't. I'll be
You know,
nice.
people were not very nice to him this week. He got a lot of backlash for complaining about his cost of rent. It's terrible.
Oh.
He's getting so
Oh.
much heat on social media for complaining about the high cost of rent in Washington. In an interview with the Washington Post, Chasten Buttigieg is the husband of Pete Buttigieg, complained.
Husband.
Yeah.
What?
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, he's
Say it
they're
again.
Well,
married.
not husband.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're married.
The butt man. He has a husband.
Yes, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
well,
couldn't find anything bigger than a one-bedroom to fit in their budget. The Buttigiegs, whatever his name
Yeah.
is, they chose an 800 square foot apartment in a high security building where claims they pay closer to $3,000.
Uh-huh.
To be sure, there are cheaper apartments in Washington and the surrounding area. A quick search of apartments.com finds over 1,000 apartments available for $2,000 or per month or less.
Or less.
Budget, whatever his name is,
But,
makes over $221,000 a year. The starting salary for congressional staff is usually in the low 30s.
Yeah, well,
So you
that
can just
includes tips
imagine what
now.
kind of bind they might find that his workers find themselves in, right? His little office people. Shaston said of the high price rent, we're doing fine for ourselves, and yet the city is almost unaffordable. Am I talking like a hippie guy?
Yeah.
Which tells you how extremely unaffordable it is for many people not making $221,000.
yeah, exactly. How
Charleston
much-
claimed they chose their megabucks apartment because of the high security.
Yeah, of course. Well,
They
that's
need
a choice. They made a choice.
Exactly. But before we all chip in on the block of government cheese for Pete and Chaston,
Yeah.
here's a fact here. When Pete became Secretary of Transportation and the move to Washington was in the works, they sold their old Victorian home in South Bend. Then there's their house on Lake Michigan.
Oh.
Oh my! The Hoovers purchased a home in Traverse City, Michigan. No word on whether the Washington Post reporter has asked all the other residents of Washington D.C. who can barely afford to live there
Yeah,
that
yeah.
make $30,000 a year
Yeah.
and have no den about their second home.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Buttigieg,
Yeah, quit your bitching.
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
If you can't manage your money, how you running the Department of Transportation?
Exactly.
but we got care packages coming in for some of the other ones in DC
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
poor little them.
Yeah.
But they're all making all this money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how about the
And-
money he comes with, and how much does his husband make?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Or maybe his husband doesn't work.
You know-
Maybe the husband is I almost said wife. Well,
yeah,
what the I can't even go there.
All
Well,
that-
didn't we used to
all that
have
writing-
housing for these people? Because they're not in DC the whole entire year, right?
Who the judge is?
Well,
Well,
okay.
All that riding his bicycle must be saving him fuel on that big SUV. You can sell the SUV and get by just fine.
Oh no, that's
But
his
That's
security.
his security.
That's his bodyguards.
yeah. And how about sell your house on Lake Traverse in
In Michigan, on the lake.
And,
That wasn't an
maybe
option
could
for
afford-
him.
Yeah, afford that.
And I'm
But
sorry
you
that he
make a
sold his old
choice.
Victorian home. I mean, I'm really sad.
Exactly.
And that you're paying high rent, but you're making $221,000 a year. And as Secretary of Transportation,
Yeah.
I think maybe you and your husband, whatever you call each
Spouse,
other,
yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Why don't you get in
Yeah.
a truck,
Yeah.
and why don't you drive
Yeah.
from Washington D.C. to California
Yeah.
and back, and go the same way
Yeah.
any other driver has to do?
Yeah.
Eat at the truck stops, use their showers.
Yeah.
Sleep in the damn truck instead of your luxury apartment with security in Washington D.C. Maybe then you would understand what the drivers are talking about.
Wait, you forgot the most vital part. You must live by the same regulations. that
Same,
truck
yeah,
drivers must
exactly.
live by.
Same regulations, same
Right.
everything. So instead of out there crying because people are mad at you for your whiny ass, start putting.
But the thing about it
I almost
is
said something terrible.
the way
It
the
almost came out.
the way the rent is right now.
Oh,
I mean, just here in New Hampshire, and it's everywhere. It's Alabama. It's $1,500 for a 1-bedroom, 1-bath for a person that works at Burger King. Okay, now their wages are going up,
Yeah.
but still, that don't include car notes, insurance, food.
Right.
I mean, get over your fucking self. I'm having to live in a dungeon because you can fucking pay $1,500 a month.
That's exactly why we can't get through these people, because they're so unrealistic.
That's
I know.
They're so unrealistic. We're sitting here talking
That's
common
right.
sense to
I
these people,
want
and this
him-
is going right over their head.
I want
Yeah.
him to get in a truck
Yep.
as Secretary of Transportation.
Yep.
I want you in that truck, and when you're done with the truck, I want you to get on the train, coast to coast. Get in with
Yeah.
that engineer and see what he has to do, and then get on a bus from coast to
Ooh,
coast.
forbid them not get a shower every day. Oh my God.
Yep.
And who's gonna
Oh!
and who's gonna do his hair? And what about his security
Yeah.
detail? 'Cause
Yeah.
we gotta have security.
Use a baby wipe to wipe your ass.
That's right. What a freaking baby.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm kidding you, really.
And there's more truck drivers today
Yeah.
than back in the day, but most of the truck drivers today can't afford to have a fucking house.
Right.
They can barely afford to take care of themselves in the truck
Right.
and run America's freight.
You know what they say?
That's why we live on the
Men-
truck.
Men in jeans built this country, made this country work.
That's right.
Men in suits have destroyed it.
That's
Right.
right. That is so
But-
true. But you know, it has
Oh,
come
okay.
up on our hour.
Oh, John,
Oh,
can
you
you
just got us
get
right.
that made up into bumper stickers?
We
Swear to
could.
God.
We could, yeah.
Yeah.
I need to start doing
oh,
stuff like
Don't
that.
be
T-shirts.
telling I did.
I'll look at Red Brick Publishing, see if we
Yeah.
can get
Why?
t-shirts.
Well, now Google's listening.
Stay
The
tuned.
shirt will be out in the
Stay
fucking
tuned.
morning. Google's listening.
Well, actually, we might be kicked off Facebook because someone keeps saying it's spam. So
Oh.
it's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard.
know.
It's
I
hard.
know.
Facebook.
I know.
I know because she goes on Facebook and says I've been kicked off.
Hey,
Facebook
me and Wendy are the top 10 felons of Facebook.
Hey,
okay?
hey, look.
We're the most wanted.
You and Wendy got nothing over on me, okay? You guys get kicked off Facebook. You go to Facebook jail for 30 days.
No, he
I
gets
got banned from the FMCSA for life.
For fucking no reason, and we still want an explanation.
And he still
for
does.
why he's
Yes,
off the
Mr. Butt.
fucking
I
seat.
hope,
Mr. Butt.
Yeah, Mr. Butt.
Mr. Butt, I
Yeah.
hope you're listening because
Yeah.
probably not, but I'm sure you're going to hear word of this.
Yeah.
Because you know what the funny part is? People go, oh, we don't really listen, but oh yeah, we know you are because it shows up. But
Yeah,
that's okay.
and we know.
That's okay.
I got banned
Because
because
if
I do
they
these.
wasn't,
I do these aggressive talk shows, and
Yeah.
well, you know,
Oh,
they're
we just
nothing
have a lot to
small
talk
fights.
about tonight. We did have a lot to talk about
We
tonight.
covered a lot
and
of ground.
And our thing was, we really wanted to talk to find out where have all the good men gone. Now, I'm not saying all men out there aren't good. That's not what our show is going to be
No.
about.
No.
And it's not to just cut down on men or anything else. This has to do what's going on with the emasculation of our men in this country. And we were going to talk about that, so we'll get to that next week.
yeah.
If you have any ideas or thought on that subject, text me, Baby Doll, or Nurse Patty.
Or you want to join in on this?
Join in, come on in,
Yeah.
we'd love to have you
Yeah,
because
please.
this is really important that women, as women, we start bringing our men back.
Yeah.
We need our men. I don't give a shit what these feminist bullshit
Yeah.
people say. I ain't the guy that's wearing, I'm not the girl that's gonna wear the jeans with that money belt, what's that called? That wallet hanging off or
The
thinking
chain-
of all
the
that.
chain
or
wallet.
So no, this,
It
anybody.
doesn't mean we need to turn submissive either. It just
No.
means we need
No,
to
you know,
start
no, wait,
building
no,
our
wait.
men back up
Stop,
instead of
stop,
tearing them
stop,
down.
stop.
The truth of the matter is, we need real men with backbone again, and
Yes.
we need strong women in this country, because it was strong women in
Yes.
this country.
Mhm.
Not the feminazis, I'm talking about strong women, real
You
women.
said
Right.
feminazis, oh no, I'm gonna be kicked off the show. But anyways, that's our show for tonight. Whoops. That's our show for tonight, people. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back next Sunday, so keep that in mind.
Yeah.
This isn't a show about, well, it might be, some men might get their little butts hurt when we talk about it next
Mhm.
weekend, because what we have to say might fit you. And if it fits you, think about what we say.
Lace that boot up, bitch, and walk in it.
That's right.
Good night, everybody.
Be strong.
Good night, Patty. Good night.
Good night. Good night, Jedi.
Where's
Wherever
Jedi?
you went.
Good night, John Boy.
Good night, John.
If you went downstairs.
TB.
My granddad said there's nothing scarier than a pissed off woman with a point to prove.
Yeah, right.
Yep, you're on.
Very good, very nice, ladies.
Your head goes right there.
We had interesting things tonight.
There you go.
What a show. No, I don't know why. I couldn't be any of the shows or anything.
Show us where.
Bunch of little fucking babies, like Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. This, I mean, that's put me. I got one foot over the edge about that nature shit.
Yeah, that's
What's
really
that
good.
funny?
That's
You know,
great.
No, go look it up, because there's a lot more than that one magazine. It's all over the internet.
Nature is racist.
The nature
Oh,
gal.
And I haven't
Yeah.
So what they're
seen it
saying
yet.
is
Now
because
I've
of
heard it
systemic
all.
racism, black people don't come out and they allow it. It's bullshit.
You know,
I
know
see
what?
black people
That-
at parties, I
this-
see black people all the time.
People are sitting there collecting all this free money, and this is what they're looking for, and they're coming up with shit day after day after day, things they can complain about. You are